Now, before we start, be sure you watch to the end of this video, because there is some design changes that happened to this during the progression of it and everything as I had time to do stuff. So, alright, let's go ahead, let's get to the main video. Alrighty, well, if you're watching this, you're just as curious as I am if this is going to work. I still have the setup right here on this carburetor, and I'll tell you the pre-prep you're going to need to do, at least with this one, just for anti-leak purposes and everything. And after that, we're going to put it on my very loved McCulloch 440. Super clean saw right here, love it, everything about it and whatnot. And yeah, it needs a little love and cleanup. But goal is get that new primer setup put onto here. So without further ado, let's go ahead, let's get started. Alright, so a little pre-prep that has to be done here and whatnot. So on these little barbs right here, because the way they're 3D printed, it's printed from base up. Everything is in layer lines this way on it. Well, around the plugs there, the spouts or whatever, there's tiny little things that air might get around. Well, yesterday I took the liberty of putting some seal all around applied with a screwdriver. You could use a toothpick, whatever. And I applied it about halfway or whatever, about 3/4 of the way up around entirely, one at a time, pushed it on, and it creates a nice little seal down here, just to help prevent any leaks that might occur and whatnot. So did that to both of them, and this setup has at least with water not leaked, and it'd be being printed of PETG. It's fuel resistant, heat resistant, stuff like that. So it's going to work perfect. I know a guy who's printed out adapters to put SDC carbs inside of these. I have this exact same stuff and zero issues so far. So I've had a few people ask me about these, buying these and everything like that. We're going to go ahead and test it and everything. It should work just fine as a primer setup and everything. I'm going to be mounting this externally to the primer button here. I've kind of done a look ahead on mounting this little bulb. These can be found on Amazon. It's exactly where I got this one in the fuel line and stuff like that too. So I don't know if people if they want it as a kit or if they just want the little part itself, whichever one you want. We'll see about that. So we gotta do the testing phases here. Also, the throttle does not get in the way. I made it to the exact same height, so this does hit that, but it does the exact same thing as if you full throttle inside of one of these. It will also, there's a mark right up there, tip of my finger. That right there is where the throttle was also hitting on carburetor, so it's kind of a stop. But it doesn't stop it from doing wide open throttle either. It's actually the stopper for it, it appears to be. So it wide open throttles perfectly. So there is that. So we got to tear the carburetor out of this. I did it a few years back, had a rebuild kit and everything. It ran until it started leaking, and it's just kind of been sitting on the shelf since. So we'll get the carburetor ripped out of this. And then that's a pretty straightforward process, kind of, sort of. Get it ripped out, and then we'll go ahead and take off the old primer and get the new one put in. It's pretty warm in here. You can see I'm sweating already. So, but got to get this video done. Got to get it for you guys. I've had a very big request on people they want to see it. They are interested in this. So we'll go ahead. Let's just get going. Well, that had to be the world's shortest hyperlapse video. So, all right, let's go ahead. Let's get the one that's ready for her new home. And I designed this so that it would use the factory screws. You do not need to go buy any special screws, longer ones, or nothing like that. So that was one of the constraints I put onto this. May just keep these screws aside since they're nice and honed to it. Now, one thing I also did, and I'll be doing to the carb we're taking off of, there is a check ball that is in the back one over here. I removed that assembly. That is all it is to make sure that the plunger doesn't suction or whatever, but it's a one-way valve system on it. So I removed that, and I will be doing the same for this carburetor that I took out of the 440. Whee! See what I'm saying here? That hits the primer right there. So that is by design. At least McCulloch design. Now, what these also do, it's kind of got like almost a governor setup in it and everything. There are governed ones and stuff that will allow it to flutter and stuff. There's a little air thing in here meant for idle. This one is a direct hook into design, so I can full throttle them at will. There are some that had an auto idle setup in them, and it hovered around inside of here, and it allowed it to do certain things. Those are definitely the Flatbacks I am not a fan of, and I've seen many guys have just problems with them. They just idle is up and down all over the place. This one is definite user gets to control all. So I've only ever seen one 440 from the factory that had a governor and flatback setup on it. I don't know if it was just some experimental setup they had or what. Don't know. I could not tell you for my life. So. All right. Take that assembly out. It's our check ball valve. Well, looks like the rubber piece rotted for the one-way valve, but even then that's not going to cause it to profusely leak out of every little orifice that it can. So, what do I do with my picks? Oh, there they are. A little pick here. There is a spring within it. We will be removing that too. And we'll just leave it on the... Guess it just wants to do whatever it wants. O-rings look good shape. They don't look like they're compressed. So it wasn't leaking around. That's the biggest worry I have is if those are leaking or not. If this sits flush to it. Those O-rings do compress over time. Probably not their greatest design in the world. If a guy wanted, he could put some seal all on it, but it kind of defeats the purpose of an O-ring at the same time. Kinda. I have a feeling that those are compressed, and we may just rob the ones out of this, which sealed up nicely. It's like another problem that these had. These O-rings compress, and those don't look like they've ever been removed. Some guys could flip them, but they just look straight up compressed, so I'm going to remove them and replace them. Pretty sure you can find these at a hardware store somewhere. I don't think my master O-ring kit that I have back there will have anything to do with it. Can do that. So good donor stuff, I guess. That's what happens when you're a donor carburetor. Hey, if you like what you see so far, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Oh yeah, it sticks up a lot more. Theoretically. So I'm just transferring O-rings. Yeah, those look like they have just enough stick up to do the job. They worked on the other one. Can't see the castings being too god-awful different, so. Other than somebody built this carburetor on a Friday evening. No, they're different numbers, but. Alrighty. Now we go ahead and do the fun part. Put the primer assembly on. The 3D printed one, that is. Make sure our surfaces are uber clean. Nice and clean is what we're going for. A little oil on the O-rings and stuff doesn't hurt them though. Yeah, like that. Looks like on the inside we'll have plenty of room for the lines and stuff too. We're going to have to remove the primer linkage, the push button. Now you could, I've thought about it, you could make a plunger setup or whatever, a setup that could probably screw onto here, move over, and a foot or whatever that pushes into the primer, and you can press it and keep it all internal. I'm going to make it external just because why not? I can do that. And nothing says I can't replace everything. I know I'm going to have to do a little cutting on the button itself to make the button fit, but it's a click-in-place style. So what I can do is make a square or whatever just undersized, push it in, and it'll snap into place, theoretically. It's not like you're pushing this button like an oiler, and this is just like enough to get it started running, and its job is done. It just sits there and idle. Like, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow when you need me again. Or if I've got a hot start happening. And the fuel line on this is in excellent shape. Now, I did rebuild this a few years back. It ran great. I had a video on it a while back on it, so. I'm unsure where it's leaking at or whatever. It's, like I say, the O-rings are probably about shot. Let me figure it out real quick and we'll be back. Yeah, it's leaking around that O-ring. On the other one, it didn't. This one, it is. But the master O-ring set I have, I think I have ones that will work. I can't see it being too different of an O-ring. I do. Or it's going to work. Oh, yeah. It is a... It specifies on this a 903 O-ring. A 903 is tube size dash number is a 3. It's a tube inner diameter inches 316 O-ring volume. This is what it is. The number 903 is what we're looking for. So I'll hold this here for a moment and you guys can write that, pause your screen and write that down. And then there you go. So I do have new O-rings for this. Awesome. It fits in there, just fits in there, I guess you should say. They're not compressed. Yeah, they fit in there perfect. And they plop up very nicely compared to the old compressed ones here. So you guys are retired. I am glad I got this. Can't remember. It's nitrile 90 durometer is what the materials. This will handle gasoline perfectly. Because nitrile is what the diaphragms are made out of. All right. Go ahead and toss this back on. Let's see what we got. So those O-rings are the only things I left it to be able to seal with. I can't remember what I did with my bigger screwdriver either. I told everybody before I try to sell any of these or make it happen is I want to test them first. I recommend more or less on those O-rings, if you do or you're watching this, you get a set of them or whatever. I'm limited, so I can't really include them unless I can find them. But that's definitely a big area of also leaking on these is that spot. So. Still has an area of leak. I can't compress it down enough. Let me bring you back and I'll get her figured out. All right, got it figured out. Leak stopped. Had to take the sanding block. This is what I use on all of them to sand flat. This one I did not do that. The rest of them have. So I guess I got lucky on this one. But new O-rings and new sanded her flat and everything. And it works fantastic. Now I'm pulling from the carb and everything and stuff like that. So I think I've got her sealed up here. PETG handles pretty good. I think we got her. So, all right, we will, since I've already sealed all these to that, we'll put it into the, I know these will fit into the SAW power head itself. So we're going to have to modify the power head for this button here. So I got to clear all this off and we'll go ahead and we will do that. We'll get to that now. I'll get all this cleared then. Yeah, do that and the lines. Remember, this is from, and it goes into the center. Well, one of them is. Heck if I remember. One of them's the correct one. I think that other bulb. Oh no, that's the push, you ding dong. So this is how it is. Like a little oil left in the carb. Yeah, it's wanting to pull and push with what little crap's left in the carb. So hopefully this doesn't leak everywhere. If it does, then well, poo. Just kidding, it's not going to. All right, so in the process of taking this rod out here and everything, so we're gonna have to, maybe we'll just remove the button entirely to do it from this whole thing so we're not getting metal shards everywhere. But getting rid of the primer here, pull out the button, pull out the little rubber grommet if it still exists. There's a screw right here. This is a set screw, and it could be somewhere on other saws, whatnot, in the button. This one's right here. Take it, back it out, and then it holds your rod in place for your buttons. So you're just gonna have to push it out, get a pair of knot cutters, which these are, and you'll have to pull it out so far. Just don't pull it out all the way because you only need to take the one button out. So that's as far as it needs to go. And we can remove our button, which McCulloch did a great job on this, and put a hook so it would not come undone so easily. So there we go. Also, what that does, there's a nice hole right down in there where the grommet was. Maybe the stuff gets out of my way, for our lines to go through. Somewhere in there you can see it. So we've got that. Now, how did I have you guys? I'm just going to make you guys dizzy today. So, got that. So, we'll go ahead. We'll put this in the vise, and we will go ahead and modify. I know there's rebuilds out there for the original one. So, I like being a little creative on this and everything. So, this is what this idea is about, is the creativity and something different and whatnot. So, plus these parts will always be found indefinitely on shelves and whatnot, at least. And I do have the file and everything that I'm able to send around the world and stuff, whatever, but it just depends on the people. But all right, so we've got that. We could go ahead. We'll put our carb in here in a bit. Let's go ahead and get this button to click into place first before we do anything. Modify that. I don't know exactly how we're going to, but we are going to. All right, so we're going to be making this up as we go along here. So thankfully, let's do this. Put this over here into there. I don't want to be crushing anything unnecessarily. You're something that's screaming, I want to be crushed unnecessarily. Great. How does a feller do this? Got to handle a little bit of, just a little turk. There you go. All right, so actually, I'll mount that in orientation to me. That would be the better idea. Like I say, you can also make a bracket, or something could be designed or whatever to put it internally and whatnot, and the plunger could push on the button inside with a flat setup. So it could be done either way, or you could just be a guy who just takes off the top, presses it a few times, crams it back in, fires up, runs great, and we move on with our lives. You're supposed to check the air filters every so often and clean them, and after a few runs, you want to do that. So, all right, so we've got that firmly grasped, and we want to have it orientated to inlet outlet status. So it'll be like that. We're going to go ahead and zoom the heck in because I can't on this mode. All right, so may have to turn you guys around actually. Zoomed in really nicely now. Hopefully you guys can see somewhat better. Yeah, okay, you good. All right, so was that not recording? I don't know what it was doing. So anyways, we're going to make it to where this slot is just smaller than this, the width of everything here. Got to do some measurements and stuff. We can either just try to keep the one or we can center it up. It's kind of up to what we want to do, because the button will fit either way. But we'll expand one side, and we're going to have to get the marker out here. What did I do? I just had it. I think what we're going to do is take a burr bit to it. It's like way more than what we need. That's not perfect at all. It's going to be a lot of trial and error test fitting. at least we've got a home base here. We'll start by expanding out like that, and then we'll figure it out. Might be able just to be real close. Just where it clicks in, and then also we got to do it for the fuel line. We got to clearance it right here. We're going to clear it right there for a fuel line to fit over, so we're really going to have to take her over. These Milwaukee pens are great. They just, other than like some water maybe or whatever, they mark through anything. So they are fantastic. Better than the Sharpies. I haven't found the Sharpies that do that, but pretty cheap at your local Home Depot right here. So grab your set of those. I think so. All right, we'll get the burr bits out, and we will just buzz around, and it'll just be an in and out testing process as we go. We don't want to overdo it. I like it to click into place. The guy could probably overkill it and glue this into place too if he wanted. So, but there's nothing saying that you can't go back and put this button back in. It won't fit it the exact same anymore, but you can glue it on. And like I say, you're only using it for prime. After that, the glue's not really going to be stressed too much. So, like I say, probably an easier solution out there to this, but this is my idea that I do for it, and I just like to have fun with the thought of it. So, I know this is a pretty long installation video, or guidance too. All right, so a bunch of planning and everything, going through, being super careful. I wanted this to where it's going to click in. That's why you guys are so far down there, but this is what I come up with. Like I say, I had to bust out the burr bits and stuff, and I have one with a flat tip in here because I created that, and this does click and it stays in place, and you have to remove this to remove this. But underneath, I wallowed out a bunch and put in lips. I know it's going to be kind of difficult to see, but I put in lips with the burr bits, created a lip right there, so that when this goes down, and I also had a clearance for fuel lines. When this goes in, maybe. Hear that? It clicks into place and it is completely flush. I'm not saying this setup is for everybody to go this far, but you can have it dangling. You can even put it out where the air adjustment screws are, or, whatever. I mean, this was my solution to the problem. I love to create and do different stuff, and this right here is exactly it. And this will fit right into the factory setup. Plenty of space around for the fuel lines to go to. So we've got our feed and that and everything. We will have to plumb those through, hook that up, and then there might be different ways a guy will find to put this assembled together. I mean, I'm just kind of working on the whim here and everything. So the world's longest installation video brought to you by me. That can't be worse than any of those instructions you get from like IKEA or something like that. This cannot be worse than that. I would hope not. So, all right, we'll get the saw back up here, mount this. Which one of these was? All right, so that's suction, so that's 2, and that's from. All right, so got that. We'll get this mounted back. Well, we'll run our lines, mount it back, something, do some calculations, whatever. We'll figure it out. I'll get her. So let me get some stuff cleaned up here, and we'll get the saw back up here, the carb in, lines, and other goodies. The lines might have been a good idea to put on last and everything, and seal all and stuff. You might have to do it that way. Could be a bunch of different ways, but I like how this turned out right here. So this will still pivot. You can still pivot if you really want it to. I mean, it will. But it's just one of those things a guy's going to ask you, what's going on there? And that's when you can tell the story and everything. Plus, you never know. You can meet somebody that way. When you're at saw shows and stuff, they know something, but they see something different. That's what gets people asking questions. All right. This is where A, measuring out your line will help a lot more, but B, a good pair of hemostats I think are going to come in hand. It is a bit of a tight fit over here with the barb on the one, but it doesn't pinch as long as you put it in, and the throttle linkage is not affected. So this is where needle nose, a pair of hemostats are coming into place, and our button. Remember which one goes where. So which one do we have here? This is the 2 out of the carb to the primer before. So that is that's nasty. All right, so it's a short one. Hey, I got the button orientation correct. Would you look at that? No, undo. Kind of difficult to see, I know. Probably should have you from my view. All in the day of custom work, right? All in the name of science. Hooking these up is so much fun. Probably should have left myself some extra line here. When you do get it hooked up, I bet you it's going to work great. My needle noses, gosh, that is the one thing that eludes me next to flat blade screwdrivers. My problem is I don't use hemostats every day either, so... There's one. The other one here. I have all these tools because over the years of making videos, I just needed them as time went on, so that's how I've acquired them. If you want instant gratification in life, a McCulloch is not your chainsaw of choice. I'm going to tell you that now. Now I installed that upside down, right? That's install it upside down, and it doesn't affect anything. Would you look at that? Push our thing back. Tighten our set screw down that holds the rod in place. That's cool. And the lines are not pinched. We'll get you in here. Let me get you in here and we'll get a closer look. Alrighty. As you see, throttle linkage is unaffected. It's a tight fit over there, but coming up, over, and whirligig, top models, this might be a lot easier, a lot more clearance. This one right here has the the guide for the flatback, another one of those over-engineered things McCulloch did. The foam box, which is the foam is missing. Goes right through, goes through there and everything. You can put a bunch of silicone on there if you want to inside there to help prevent anything. Oh, we gotta hook our fuel line back up too. But there is the setup I have envisioned. Everything's staying. You can see it's pumping something. Uh-oh. It's trying to push it. There it goes. There it goes. It's priming. Yay! It's working. And the crowd goes wild. So, all right. That's just like residual oil and crap in the tank, unless the fuel's still in there, which I doubt. Oh, yeah, there's nothing in there whatsoever. It spilled it all out. All right. We'll go ahead here. I need to cool off for a little bit here, get something to eat. I have not eaten today. I've just been running around doing stuff and everything, helping my mother out. Came here and started this. So I'm going to go ahead, get something to eat. We'll wait till it cools off a little bit, and then we'll go ahead. We'll fire this up for you guys. It's going to be about instantaneous. There you go. Let's just go ahead. So I've got fuel in it already. Check that primer bulb. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Priming like a charm. But will the saw actually run? I don't see everything leaking everywhere yet. Whew. This old girl definitely has her compression. I wonder if I got the carb in there correctly. Another Scotia Love. I might have not got the carb seat in there properly either, so. Primer works excellent. I don't see it leaking either. This girl has got good compression. Probably need to bump the idle too, but she's not warmed up. Flatback. Spitting out the front, probably overfueling a little bit. That's fine. Like I said, I've never really ran this saw too much, so I'm pretty sure the carb needs adjusted and everything, and leaner out in some spots. But it seems to be working fantastically. Do a little there. High speed, a little there. Looks like it's trying to pull through the primer a little bit, and if it does, it does. Has a little slack, so I didn't pull it out for you. But it's working great. It looks like it's pulling a little bit of fuel from the primer setup and everything, which that's fine. Just lean out the screws a little bit. You're gonna have to play with it and everything from the looks of it. But it's not filling up. This isn't full of fuel anymore. The only fuel that's coming from it is the notorious spit back from these carbs, and that's what the foam setup here is supposed to be. And then there's a line that sucks it and returns it back. So these were very notorious for spit back. And this one is no exception to the rule. Wow. But she sounds fantastic. The primer bulb works amazing. I don't know when we get to be cutting with the saw. I got to sharpen the chain. I got a dog to put on. But this video was more for just purposes of installation, showing how I do it. I'm pretty sure you can find a different way. You know, there's many different ways to do this and everything. This was just the way I did it. Any questions? I have to be able to show pictures and really talk better. In the community section or whatever of YouTube, there's an Instagram. You can find me on there. Message me on there. There's Facebook under my name, Brian Gray. You can find me at McCulloch Chainsaws North America, Modified Chainsaws. I'm in there. It's places to help do that and everything, whatnot. It's a awesome community of people. I wouldn't be here right now without you guys. And like I say, you know, stuff I have and whatnot it's just been really supportive and everything. And I just thank you all. I love chatting, love talking to you guys, getting referrals and everything. It's just been fantastic. So, like I say, I just want to say thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know. You find a different way, you find something that's great, go ahead and let me know. As you can see, the adapter is working great. Don't be afraid, even if you have to use a little seal all between the adapter and on the O-ring or whatever, a little bit. No shame in that stuff. I actually had some, and I bought a brand new tube. I didn't even know I had it. But it looks like everything is just fantastic. Like I said, what little fuel is down there is from the spitting out of this. Before this thing, you put gas in it, and it's just pouring. It's flooding everywhere instantly. I do not have that problem anymore. So the time it took me to get this done was worth every moment. And now this saw can finally be used and showing off. This is, like I said, this is one of McCulloch's more refined saws that they built, the 440. I have a video on it a little while back. I did on it, a King of the Woods series, and I plan on doing more of those and going over saws and everything. And you guys seem to really enjoy those ones too and everything. I love the feedback, love the comments, love chatting with you all. Hopefully I get to meet a lot of you, if not all of you, one day. It would be fantastic. So, like I say, like, comment, subscribe, you know, hit that bell for more notifications. My goal for every Friday this year to really try to put out a video for you guys on something, everything, even if it is exactly McCulloch related. But I try small engines, stuff like that. So I'm gonna say thanks for watching, and stay safe, everybody. Unfortunately, I will not be making a cut video. I now remember why I wasn't also using the saw in the beginning when I got it before problems. There's a jam up with the sprocket on this somewhere. Like inside, it's wore down, and it likes to, right there. See, I'm bending that screwdriver. It jams up. There's something internal. I tried revving it moments ago, and it just kind of smokes the clutch. So, yeah, see, I can't go either way. So there's something in there. It's getting oil. I mean, it's on the floor. It's just there's something about the sprocket on this one that's jammed up. So that's kind of a bummer. I will get back to that. I will find a sprocket. I really want to cut with this saw, get a dog put on her and everything. So we may be returning back to this one at some point. But like I say, any little fuel that's down inside of here is from that stinking spit back. It's not because of it leaking right there. These are just very notorious. I mean, it's wet in there. You hold it right here without the air filter on, and you just feel it spraying you. So the setup is working great. Okay, so I don't know exactly how this is going to transition into the other first part of the video. So the one design that was in the first part of the video, it shows the problem going out the side. It worked good until they didn't. The problem with 3D printing is some things don't like to be printed, either depending on orientation and stuff like that. So the PETG, it is fuel resistant. It was not affected by the fuel. It's just the stress on the barbs because of the thinner printing would cause it to, how do I say this? It would cause it to just break. So I've changed orientations. I have revised the design after that 1-2 times, and the barbs still would break on that. So I have resorted to going all the way to carbon fiber nylon to do this. Now, the design has changed to where the barbs, let's see here which way, this points towards the user or whatever. So the barbs would come out the sides here. It didn't like that. So I put these holes on there. I extruded it out and everything to have the holes go to where they would help support the hose. Well, it'd support the hose, but the barbs still broke off. So I orientated to come up, same problem. The orientation of how the print, it went from being linear and to it printing in circular form. And that's also a known weak spot when printing such circular items and everything. And they held until they broke. So carbon fiber nylon is some incredibly tough stuff. And I've had to do some cleaning, refining on this one and everything. So it isn't perfect or whatnot. But hopefully we'll get the hoses to fit in there. And these barbs right here seem pretty tough. Hopefully they'll hold up to the job, because after that, it's plan C, go metal and everything on that. And there'll be a little bit more of a delay on that. But as you saw in the first part and everything, things did work. Things did run excellent. And after I let it sit a few hours is when the barbs broke off. Probably broke off right after. And also, what I did, I've been back in this to put the other one on here where the barbs broke. And I can't remember if I made a video of that or not. I'll have to re-go through and everything. So I had the other design in here. It worked and everything. I also put the ball valve back in the carburetor because what was happening is it was using in the carburetor, the little hole for the primer. The air was pulling through, and the primer bulb was acting like a jet. It wasn't stopping the flow. So the ball valve and the spring were put back in the carburetor as pressure so that the airflow through the carb cannot pull fuel through this, strictly through the metering of this. So that did work on the old set, on a different setup. I think I may have tried that. Yeah. And it worked until it didn't. So we're going to go ahead and put this inside of this right here. hopefully all the hoses and stuff fit well, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I don't know if I showed this or not. I'll have to re-go through the videos if I have. Cool, if not, because I did this. I brought it inside because it was so hot. But you see the prongs on this design. It works, and then they break. So the new ones, that's what the prongs are supposed to look like to fit around. So carbon fiber nylon is the strongest material that I could pretty much print. So it's not that this PETG isn't fuel resistant. It's just not having it is what it isn't doing. Get the seal all out. I do it around. I do put it around the O-rings just because. My biggest thing is keeping a screwdriver too. Like my flat blades, I don't know what I do with them anymore. Yeah, because this is so much better right here. Well, at least it gets down in the groove. So, as per the other. Yeah, there's a video on how to rebuild these primers and stuff, but I never looked into it either, what all the specs are on O-ring sizes and stuff and whatnot, but I'm forging my own path. The seal all does a really great job too, so I need to get a toothpick. I need to clean the surface here again, all fuel, and then like I say, I put that ball valve and spring back in there because it keeps pressure to where fuel could still get through. You can force it clean through, but it doesn't allow the engine to be able to, it's enough to keep the engine from pulling fuel. So that is something just to keep in there. So what I'll have to do here, put seal all around these. Well, actually I put it on around here on the outsides of the O-rings, or just on them, and then squish it on there. So I need to go get a toothpick. I need to carry, that's something I need to learn to keep out here. And then we'll get back onto this. Okay, good Lord, the neighbor's kid is going nuts again. So, all right, seal all, excuse me, seal all put on. Got the, got that put on there. So now we got to reinstall it and finagle our hoses and everything, which do clear everything, by the way. Somebody's kid is not having a fun time. Maybe some background noise will help with that, music or whatever. I don't know. But, so we've got that on there. Let's get it reinstalled. And let's see if this old girl's going to run and have a successfully working primer. If within still 3D printed parameters. Of course, we've seen me put it back in there, so we'll hopefully get that. After I put that back in there, and if nothing breaks, then we will be solid gold. Throw that away. I don't even know I won't even thought of keeping it. And we'll go from there. All right, I'll put you here for a second. So install your lines first carefully. Needle nose pliers helped on this one, or whatever. I incorporate Harbor Freight of like 10 pairs of everything, it seems like, and I'm still going to lose them. But install your lines first, put your throttle linkage in, and then carefully line everybody back up your bolts and stuff. Make sure you're not pinching a gasket or anything. You little thing, you. Ugh. Gaskets. Don't pinch it, fold it, have it go in there weird in the process. Get her slid down. Make sure everybody's happy. And then tighten up the carb. Don't forget to hook up your stuff. The throttle linkage does hit the line, but it isn't causing any distress to it. It doesn't stop the throttle from doing anything. It is installed underneath and then over. You still have access to your other lines, your idle screws and whatnot. This can probably be shortened just a touch, but I think it'll be fine. So I'll go ahead and get that tightened on there, and then we'll check everything out here. All right, so we're about to fire it up, but first let's see how well the primer works. So suction in from the carb. That just leaks everywhere. That's fine. So I got to push that one down a little bit, but it's not terrible. The barb's not broken from what I see. So I got to push it down. I may have to put a little sealer on it. I don't know, but at least it primes for now. So we'll go from there. Yeah, so that's good. All right, so I may have to do some adjustments because in the last video I had to do them because it was pulling through, and I have not fired it up since then. So I have leaned it back out to where it was and everything idle. And as you know, pump that a couple times. The chain on it, the sprocket is kind of iffy on this one, so we're not going to be able to make any cuts for it, unfortunately. But if we get to run and prove the primer works, that's the goal of this video. So let's go ahead. We'll see if she fires up or if she just doesn't like life anymore. Yeah, working. reminded you before, made a whole video on it for y'all. So, I think it's a success. I don't see any barbs broken. I did push that down. It's working fantastically on this one. It still wants to pull a little bit of fuel through here, but that's fine. It's better than leaning out and not having enough oil in her for sure. But I don't know if that's just by the design nature or if McCulloch had that in their original primer, but it's working great. Unfortunately, we will not be able to make a cut. Like I say, the sprocket makes hell of noises and everything. I was going to replace it like 3 or 4 years ago and just never got to it. I actually used the clutch on the CP125 rebuild series that I did. Ooh, what was that? Oh, something falling down over there. So, alright, that's cool. But here it is in all of her glory. And I'll button it up, put the top assembly back on it, and but I'll make sure that this holds out and stuff like that and whatnot. We'll go from there, but I can't see how this is not going to work now. The carbon fiber nylon seems to be holding up. And it's just going to take some long-term testing on that and whatnot. I have to do quite a bit of manual cleaning up for the hose to fit around inside the barb area. I still got to put up my printer settings quite a bit more, but I think it's pretty nice and everything. I was really hoping the PETG was going to pan out, but unfortunately it doesn't possess the strength when you start to go thinner to do such a thing on. So I hope this is a conclusion to this. Like I say, metal ones can be made just flat steel, and if you can solder on steel barbs or copper ones or whatever, or even use flat copper or something like that, it can be done and everything and whatnot. So, like I say, the primer bulb it did take a little custom work to do that, but I definitely say this isn't for the weak to do something like this. This isn't for the weak at hearted, to cut up and do something to a saw. But those little buttons can be found on eBay and other places and whatnot. So the button itself is not reversible on the process, but the entire process is reversible, and it's quite simple, as I showed at the beginning of this video and everything. So I just want to say thanks for watching, and I do appreciate everybody who watches these videos and whatnot. The channel is just continuously growing thanks to supporters, and I have released other small engine ones recently, and they're not the most popular, but hopefully they catch on with the crowd and stuff. I love my McCullochs, as you all know. I love small engine fixes and stuff, like the little tiller down here that we did and everything. That was a pretty nice little thing, just trash find, and we'll just keep pumping them out, everybody, and hopefully we can get to project 98%, continue on with that so weather finally cools off to where I could paint and do other things. And please smash the like button, leave a comment. I love to hear them and everything. And did you know only 15% of the people that watch my videos are subscribed? And by the time we get to this point in the video, around 10% retention rate still. So either people skip forward, or after a few minutes they just knock off. So, but that's fine. It isn't for everybody to enjoy something like this. So, all right, just want to say thanks for watching, and well, hopefully we got a bunch more in the future. The goal this year is 52 videos. Well, one every Friday to the end of the year. Hopefully to keep doing that for the next year since time to come. So, just want to say thanks for watching. All right, here's what everything looks like buttoned up. I did put a touch seal all around those with a toothpick just to be safe. Don't need any unexpected air leaks or anything like that or whatnot. So it's in there. Everything is to the side. Happy. Like I said, it does bump the lines, but a guy could go, if he really wanted to get in there, 90s and stuff, or just keep things simple. But I don't see anything broken anywhere, nothing like that. So I think we're pretty good on this one, and I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Now we got to attend to the clutch in the future and sharpen that chain. But that's another video. On the McCulloch 440 chainsaw. Thanks for watching, everybody.